Good evening, America. I'm your host, Buster Cherry, and with me, my co-host,
Edith Judith. And today we take you back to the era of the 1930s. It was an era of really tough economic hardship, an unwilling president, homelessness, starvation, and it all started with the crash of the stock market on that October evening of 1929.
we have some live footage of a reporter, Chris Peanuts, reporting from the Dust Bowl. Please enjoy.
Hi, I'm Crispy Nuts, and I'm with,
Suzanne Wilson.
and today we're going to be talking about the Dust Bowl. What is the Dust Bowl?
It's when all the grass got torn away from the ground and everything got covered in dust.
How did it affect people?
Well, many families got torn apart because of the loss of being able to live in their houses safely, and fathers left their homes to move away to the west so they could find work in the greener parts of the country.
When did the Dust Bowl happen?
It happened in the time of the Great Depression.
Where did it happen?
The main part of the Dust Bowl that was affected was in the Midwest of America, like Kansas, Texas, and Oklahoma.
Was the economy affected?
Well, since it was during the Great Depression, lots of stuff was happening during then, so yes, the economy was affected. Because farmers lost their crops because the dust made it not able to grow, and they were not able to get money from crops.
Wow.
Hello, Americans. I'm your host, Buster Cherry, here again to talk to you about some of the leading women of the 1930s. First off, we have Frances Perkins. Come here, Frances. Now, she became the first female cabinet member, Secretary of Labor, and she played a major role in creating the Social Security system and supervised labor legislation. How do you feel about your accomplishments, Frances?
I feel like they did a great deal to help the country during this hard time, the Great Depression.
Wow. Me too. Thank you very much, Frances. Okay. Wow. Wasn't she great? Now, coming up next is Mary McLeod Butane. Come here, Mary. Wow. Hi, Mary. Now, Mary was an educator who dedicated herself to promoting opportunities for young African Americans. She was appointed the head of the Division of Negro Affairs of the National Youth Administration. Thanks for helping our African Americans across America.
No problem. I feel as if I really helped integrate society.
I think you did. I think what you did helped everybody be able to unite as one.
That was my goal.
Good. You accomplished it. Now, Mary, you may go. Coming up next, we have your very own First Lady, Americans. Yes, FDR's wife, Eleanor, the First Lady, Miss Eleanor Roosevelt. Yeah. How are you today, Miss Roosevelt?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Me too. I'm doing pretty good too. Now, if you don't know much about our First Lady, listen to what I'm about to say. Eleanor Roosevelt played a key role in opening doors for African Americans in government. She was instrumental in bringing about one of the most dramatic cultural events of the period. Talking about how you helped with the African Americans, how will you explain to them what you did with the singer Marian Anderson when they did not let her sing because she was African American?
Well, I believe that was very unfair and unjust for them to do because this is a free country and I helped support her in what she was fighting for by not being able to sing.
Yes. And she let her perform in front of the Lincoln Memorial, I believe.
Yes, I believe that that was the best thing for me to do in order to help society see that this is acceptable.
Okay. Now, thanks for being in our show today, Miss Roosevelt. Coming up next, I'm going to talk to you about how other women who are not as famous as Miss Roosevelt or Miss Frances Perkins or Mary, how they affect our community too in the 1930s. Many of them who are struggling now with the whole Great Depression they have to take care of their families, and now families are struggling. So women, they have to take care of all the kids and stuff. And with the whole thing with the Dust Bowl, many of the women that work with the farmers, they can't farm anymore. But overall, thanks for helping us, Miss
No
Roosevelt.
problem.
That's it for today. I'm Buster Cherry, coming back at ya.
The culture in the 1930s was ruled by motion pictures and radio. Movies like Gone with the Wind and The Wizard of Oz were made as major motion pictures and are still considered classics in modern day and are very popular. People like Orson Welles, who made his own radio series, entertained radio with his show War of the Worlds. His show scared many Americans as they thought aliens were real and were invading the Earth. Artists decorated America with public and inspiring work. Grant Wood made famous paintings like Gothic art, which related to the Dust Bowl. Woody Guthrie made relatable songs and sings about American hardships during the Great Depression. The culture in the 1930s meant a lot because it needed to encourage and influence the public not to give up but to keep pushing forward and make progress in a positive way.
I'm here with you to talk about minorities in the 1930s and all the economic hardships that the minorities went through, especially Hispanics. So, I am Gloria Lopez, and here it is. Hello.
Excuse me? Excuse me?
Hi, I would like to interview you about minorities.
Yo no English, no.
Pero no problemas. Yo puedo hablar español con tú. Entonces, ¿cómo estás?
Yo estaba muy bien, los tiempos ahora estaban muy malos porque pues ya con todo lo que pasó ya ni hay zacate que cortar, no puedo hacer dinero y muchos de mis amigos se me fueron porque están deportando a muchos de los inmigrantes.
Sí, no, los americanos tienen trabajo, pero ustedes
nosotros menos.
único. Sí, pero ustedes es una minoría.
Sí, por eso, pero está más difícil encontrar trabajo para nosotros.
Sí, cómo no. Yo
Pues si
comprendo.
nos ven bien cafés y bien negros, no nos quieren dar trabajo.
Oh, ¿sí?
Ah, sí.
Claro.
¡Claro!
Wow. Ok. Gracias por su entrevista. Puedes continuar cortando el césped. Well, he doesn't speak English, but yeah. Okay.
Hi, Crispy Nuts here, reporting about the stock market crash. The stock market caused a lot of problems for investors in the economy for the people of America in the 1930s. The stock market crashed due to speculation, which means people bought stocks and bonds on the chance off a quick profit while ignoring the risks. Investors bought on margin, paying a small percentage of a stock's price as a down payment, and then they borrowed money from banks. In early September 1929, stock prices peaked and then fell. Confidence in the market started to waver, and some investors quickly sold their stocks and then pulled out. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was the most widely used barometer of the stock market's health. By Tuesday, October 29th, the bottom of the market and the nation's confidence fell. The Great Depression, the period from 1929 to 1940 in which the economy plummeted and employment started. Banks shut down and the stock market crashed, and millions of Americans went unemployed, and many citizens were unemployed and homeless.
Hi, my name is Caroline Smith, and I will be interviewing a mom from the Great Depression. Excuse me, miss? Can you come with me? Can I interview you?
Yes.
Hi, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Mary.
Hi, so how has the Great Depression affected you?
Well, I had a job. I worked as a teacher in a school, and I read books to the children, and I taught them how to read and write. And now I don't have a job. I'm living in Hoovervilles, and my family and I barely have anything to eat
Now, why is it called Hoovervilles?
because President Hoover is not helping us with a direct relief from the government. He gives us no money, and the only help he gives us is about $2.39, but that's not enough. So we're forced into these villas called Hoovervilles, and that's where we live with all of our other friends that suffer economic problems right now.
Now, you say you were a teacher before this happened. How soon did you lose your job after the Great Depression started?
It was about 5 months into it because until they started cutting from education, it wasn't until I lost my job.
How do you find ways to provide for your family?
Well, it depends on the day. Some days I stand in a bread line for 3-4 hours to get a little loaf of bread for my family and I to eat. And we have to share it equally between us. And sometimes we'll go sit in soup kitchens and churches and institutions and some organizations provide us with soup.
Now, President Hoover hasn't helped at all?
No, he doesn't believe in a direct relief for us going through this time of depression.
What about your kids? Have they had to find work or look for jobs?
Yes, but with, laws, it's really hard for them to work. They're not allowed to work. But there isn't even any work because nobody is buying any goods. Nobody is consuming anything, so there is nowhere to work. And we find ourselves day after day in this depression without being able to get out of it.
Wow, I'm very sorry to hear that. Hopefully, as new presidents come along, better relief programs will happen and we will get more help.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Crispy Nuts out in the field, and I'm with.
President Roosevelt
When did you become president?
in 1933, and I served until 1945.
What's your political party?
I'm Democrat, and I believe in helping the people out with government involvement.
How did you affect the Great Depression?
I affected the Great Depression by increasing the government involvement by creating the New Deal.
How?
Well, the first 100 days of my presidency, I had lots of reforms like the Banking Act of 1933, which created new provisions in banking, the Emergency Banking Relief Act, which closed all banks and didn't allow them to reopen unless they were safe with money and could run smoothly. Also, I had the FDIC, which was the safety of bank accounts in banks, which provided the assurance of people's safety of their money in banks. Also, I had the Federal Securities Act, which regulated the securities and ensured accurate information about investments that people wanted to invest in.
Alright, thank you, FDR.
I hope you enjoyed our segment about the 1930s. I did. We learned about many things, from the Dust Bowl, minorities, the poor people starving in the streets, President Hoover, President Roosevelt and his New Deal, women, and the stock market. And I hope now that you guys have been informed about many things that have been going on in our community now throughout the 1930s, you feel more involved and you understand how serious some of the things that have been done, such as Roosevelt's New Deal, have affected us and you. So this was it for today's segment. I am Buster Cherry. And good night, America.